Assassin's Creed Shadows is hard to beat. It's the best in the Assassin's Creed series.
Delusional thoughts from Fantasy Island.
What's up, space pirates? This is your Admiral, the Dread Pirate Dr. Disaster, and you would think, what with the terrible reception to the Attack on Titan DLC for Assassin's Creed Shadows, that right about now would be a pretty crappy time to try to praise this game.
Bad timing.
For reference, here is a clip from the game really quick, just to give you an idea as to how awful the material from this Assassin's Creed Shadows DLC really is.
I'm pretty tough, huh? I am!
Oh, they're pretty close, Kinu. Jealous?
No, please! Don't kiss her!
What?
Ugh. You weren't...
What? No. Never. And I know I could never steal you away from Kinu.
Say that again and we'll have to do it for real.
What the hell was that?
Understandably, that DLC did not draw anyone in. On the Steam charts, the player count did not go up in any noticeable manner, and to top it off, this is an embarrassing time for Assassin's Creed Shadows right now because we are in the middle of award season, and despite being a massive studio with huge brand recognition, the only award that Assassin's Creed Shadows is up for at the Game Awards is a nomination for Innovation in Accessibility.
We pathetic fools.
Suffice to say that this is a game that really doesn't have anything going for it, but that has not stopped the game's associate director from giving this interview here to Games Radar with a shitload of bluster, talking about how their game is so amazing and hard to beat. These people live in delusional fairy tale land where they can just say things and just pretend that everything is okay and that sales are great. These game journalists don't ever push back against anything that these people say, but I, on the other hand, am here to say the things that need to be said to anyone who worked on this wretched game.
Jesus Christ, I've met some dumb bastards in my time, but you outdo them all.
Alright, me hearties, make sure that you hit the like button on this video and subscribe to the channel if you haven't done so already. A lot of people have told me that they have been unwillingly unsubscribed to the channel, so make sure that you are still subbed. Ever since I started mentioning this in my videos, I've had loads of people tell me that they found that it had happened to them. If you've heard me say this before, well, this section of my videos will be skippable from now on by being turned into a chapter on the video timeline, but I do have to keep mentioning it because I don't know why this crap happens, but it does happen an awful lot. But, alrighty, let's take a look at this jackass director of Assassin's Creed Shadows and what he said about their game, trying to talk it up and make it sound more impressive than it really is. It's hard to say which is more ludicrous, the guy who said this or the game journalist who used the quote, "We're hard to beat," as the headline of this article. But, as I was saying a minute ago, this has to be an especially tough time for the people at Ubisoft, considering that they aren't up for anything even worth mentioning at the Game Awards this year, despite spending literally hundreds of millions of dollars on this game, and despite the pedigree and clout that goes along with both their studio and the franchise that they were working on. In fact, it's only their clout that ensures that they get talked about at all. If this game had any other name attached to it, then it would have been forgotten long ago. Meanwhile, though, Ubisoft's former employees are absolutely tearing things up. If you didn't know, many of the developers of Claire Obscure Expedition 33 came from Ubisoft, but they left the company to make the game that they wanted to make, and now that game is up for Game of the Year along with a ton of other awards which it is almost certain to win. Just imagine what the executives must be thinking knowing the talent that they let walk out the front door. But anyways, let's read this article from Games Radar. It starts off by saying, it might seem like only yesterday that Assassin's Creed Shadows launched, but when the associate game director casually throws out how long it's really been, I feel my eyes widen. I'm surprised that 9 months in, we are hard to beat from a pure visual standpoint, which is a testament to all the work that's gone into the engine, he says of Shadow's striking technical beauty. But then again, high quality is synonymous with Ubisoft Quebec's work at this point. And let me just stop right there and point out a few things. First of all, from a visual standpoint, there are a ton of games I could point to that absolutely beat the shit out of Assassin's Creed Shadows. Claire Obscure, Hollow Knight Silksong, Death Stranding 2, I'm even gonna be fair here and give a nod to Sucker Punch and Ghost of Yotei. All of those games have better art in them than Shadows by leaps and miles, which is why all of them were nominated for Best Art Direction at the Game Awards, and Shadows was not. In fact, I would go so far as to say that the graphics, the visuals, in Shadows did not seem special at all. It was just another Assassin's Creed game. Sure, they added distinct seasons like winter and spring and whatnot, but the game is actually not considered particularly impressive graphically by most people. And then I'd like to point out how sycophantic and ridiculous this game journalist sounded, first of all, for making it seem like the visuals in Shadows were super impressive. This day and age, they weren't anything special, but more than that, the way he speaks here makes it sound like graphics are the most important component of video games, and that is precisely what is wrong with most AAA games these days. They spend too much time trying to wow these game journalists with technical capabilities when the best developers put their focus on a much more important question. Is the game actually any fun? But anyhow, the writer of the article spends the next few paragraphs gushing over this associate game director and the studio he works for. I will spare you from having to read all that, though I will be linking the article in the description if you want to subject yourself to that. Anyhow, we are going to skip down to here in the article where they start talking about the differences between the two playable characters in the game. It says, this game director notes that one of the most important aspects was making two characters with separate, distinct playstyles. It's an exercise in contrast, which Syndicate wasn't, he says, and then go maybe not as deep as Odyssey in terms of RPG systems, pulling it back a little bit, but deep enough with it to try to find a middle ground where we could still have the RPG fans be happy with it, but then perhaps bring a couple of the old school fans that are not so much into RPGs and have them dip their toes a little bit, with Stealth Shinobi Naue embodying the classic assassin feel, and one-man battering ram Yasuke much more of a closer character to Ivor or Cassandra in terms of combat. It seemed that Shadows had both its bases covered, at least as far as drawing on the expected playstyles and attributes series fans might expect. And I'm just going to stop them right there and point out that actually, in a game called Assassin's Creed, where you are expected to silently go around and assassinate targets, Yasuke was the exact opposite of what players expected or wanted. Set aside all of the historical controversy with having a black guy running around in olden time Japan as if this was all perfectly normal. Even if they had gone with a proper Japanese dude as that character, it would have been silly to have a samurai character as one of the main playable characters in this game, because the way they operate is not compatible with the way that players want to play an Assassin's Creed game. A samurai does not work in that role. The whole point of an Assassin's Creed game is to blend into the crowd, to climb walls, to come out of nowhere with a deadly strike, and obviously samurai don't do that. When people were clamoring for a Japanese Assassin's Creed for all those years, we were thinking about ninjas, not samurai. And I'm convinced that the only reason that they included a samurai in the game was because they were trying to make a statement with Yasuke. They wanted to get praised by the game journalists for being inclusive and shit. From what I've seen of the game, the character seems like he was grafted onto the story, like an alien appendage, and his gameplay is as clumsy to the series as you would expect a samurai to be. I've always had the impression that this was only done, he was only added, in order to appear sufficiently progressive and to impress the critics. If they hadn't come up with the idea to use Yasuke specifically in this role, I sincerely doubt that they would have gone with a samurai in the game at all. Naoe would have been the only protagonist, and this is exactly what I'm talking about. Ubisoft is a game studio who always seems to put fun on the back burner. They don't make it a priority. Their goal is to get compliments from the people writing about them in mainstream media articles. Well, this article here is another brick in the wall for them on that front, but unfortunately for them, it did not translate into sales. They're still on pace to lose tens of millions of dollars on a project that should have been an easy win. Their company's stock value, Ubisoft, is now officially way less than $1 billion. They are down to a market cap of around $850 million, though at one point they were worth tens of billions of dollars. And I'd say this all boils down to nobody asking the most obvious question when making video games. Is this any fun? But I'm gonna leave it there. Ubisoft seems to think that they're hard to beat. What do you think about that? Drop your thoughts into the comment section below, and we will talk there. Thanks for watching, me hearties. If you haven't already, your Admiral is inviting you to subscribe to the channel and become a part of the crew. Life as a space pirate may not be glamorous, but there's always plenty of booty.